real estate needs to be more affordable, but lowering home prices would put retirement plans at risk.
Welcome to the Tom Storey Show with Steve Karrasch and Tom Storey, where we discuss everything real estate or whatever else is on our minds.
You gotta hit record early so you get all the good giggles in.
Okay. All right, Stephen. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Tom Storey Show, the only Canadian real estate podcast you should ever listen to again in your entire life. Steve, is that fair to say?
I thought we were the only one anyway.
Oh, yeah, we are the only one.
We are the number one, only one Canadian real estate podcast in Canada and the world.
Welcome back, everybody. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. We are approaching 5,000 and we will celebrate. I'm not sure what we're going to do, but I'd like to give some type of giveaway away. I actually have, Steve, I got Jays tickets for some summer dates. Maybe we'll do some Jays tickets giveaways. Let us know in the comments.
Leafs Stanley Cup final tickets.
Yeah, I'll give you. Yeah.
I don't know. Like you keep saying that.
I'm gonna. You know what? I have Jays tickets for the summer. Why don't we do a Jays ticket giveaway? We'll announce it in one of the What's that?
We're still like a couple hundred away.
No, we'll get there. We'll get there soon. If you're listening on the audio platforms, hope you're having a wonderful day, whatever you are up to this fine Sunday morning or whatever day of the week you are listening. Steve, I'm going to throw you for a loop to start this episode. When we have our
coffee first, hang on.
When we have our team meetings every Tuesday, one of the things that we start our meetings with is something that we are grateful for. Okay, and it's a great way to start the day. Even if you're in a bad mood, you're like, you know what? I'm just grateful it's sunny outside today. So I'm going to start with you. And I'd like the audience to think about this too before we get into all the craziness of the Canadian real estate market today. What is Steve grateful for today?
It's been a tough one. Thanks, Tom. I really need
because you've been a little down. You've been a little down.
It's been a grind, man. I am thankful that I got two deals together that I did not think were going to come together at all, and they were a grind. They were renegotiations after inspection. They're my listings, but they're both sold, and I am thankful to have those clients who, by the way, were probably the nicest two clients I've had all year long, and they had the hardest grind. So I'm thankful that we got those people on to the next step.
So when an inspection is done on one of your listings, the one thing that we talk about with buyer's law is like, hey, the inspection is to confirm what we already know, but it's not a brand new house, and it's not always used as a negotiation tool after the fact. It sometimes is, but not always. Sounds like they tried to use it as a negotiation tool after the fact on you, on both of them. Is that what happened?
So I had to dig into it hard. So these were the buyers are all new to Canada.
Okay.
And it was like, I've been getting, I think this year, the same playbook. And I was just like, it's the same negotiation every time. And so I actually reached out to Dana and I set up a call with an agent from that particular region because they were all from the same region.
Okay.
And I just said, work through that. And she just laid it out. She was
this
just like,
the way that happens.
Here's when this negotiation happens. Here's the expectation you have to set with those buyers and that buyer's agent on negotiation. And she just broke it down. All deals came together.
Interesting.
It was just learning because there's so many people new to Canada. Now we have to learn the customs of the way their society works. Because I mean, it would be lovely to say everybody just picks up a hockey stick and maple syrup and runs out the door and that's it. But that's not how it works, right? So we're getting to know what they're doing. But at the same time, I don't think it came from a place after having that conversation with that agent. It didn't come from a place of like malice. It didn't come from like, we're going to screw you. It came from misunderstanding. It came from this particular region where these folks are all coming from. They live in a different style of home. They don't understand the styles of home here. Sure. And then when something different comes up, it's enough to trigger their brain to go, maybe I don't want to go ahead with this. Maybe this is more than I bit off more than I could chew. So once I understood their mindset in speaking to somebody from the culture and understanding how their negotiation goes, got the deals together. But even less hair this week. Look at that. I'm going bald.
But how small can you get with it? Can you say like the doorknob is a little bit loose? There's caulking in the bathtub that needs to be like, how low does it get in terms of
So-
like the fixes are easy, but I'm still going to ask for
Yeah.
it.
The agent I spoke to said, listen, the people that are coming from her country, that are coming here are the wealthy. So she's like, you
Oh.
have to understand they're the wealthy, and they're also, they're used to very density, let's call it. So if
Okay.
anything is in that particular country needs fixed in their luxury condos, they don't lift a finger. They call
okay.
building maintenance. Building maintenance comes in, tightens the doorknob. Right. So she was like, just basically, it's just a lack of understanding of not knowing the procedures, and then having to understand I'm going to have to adapt to this single family home lifestyle.
Wealthy. That's interesting, because all I hear about new people coming to Canada is that they have no money.
Yeah, but those ones don't buy real estate.
Right. They're not the ones that we're seeing. That's probably fair. That's probably a fair statement.
The other folks that are coming without cash are renting and shacking.
They're not
up
offering on our properties.
people.
They're not calling us, right? So we wouldn't know. Yeah.
Totally. Tom, I'm not going to be bad at this week. What are you grateful for?
Thank you, Stephen. My son, man, he makes me smile and laugh, and he's just at an age where he's so funny and so talkative, and like personality's coming out. Yeah, that's what I'm grateful for today, and every day. But especially today.
Another, I was grateful for my kids every day.
You know what? It was a good drop off at daycare this week. We've had some not so great drop offs. He seems like he's readjusting back into everything, and so I'm grateful for that. I promise we will hit on real estate hard here, but I actually just have a question for you, because I've been thinking about this, talk about this a lot with my friends. Do you bet on anything? Like, do you do sports betting?
No.
Have you ever thought about it? Like, I know you like to go to Vegas a little bit, but do you bet when you're in Vegas? Is that the only place you bet?
I want to say one year when I went to Vegas before the CFL season started, I bet on the Lions to win the Grey Cup, and they did. And so my $5 turned into $35.
But hey, Steve, what if you put down $5,000 on that?
5,000 for a possible 35, even in a team of nine teams, 8 teams in the league.
Teams,
still, no, I don't gamble. What do you gamble on?
Oh, I don't gamble at all. I've never gambled my entire
life.
You
gamble on real estate.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I gamble on my interest rates. No, I've never gotten into gambling. There's certain how should I say this? Certain parts of my extended family where addiction has been an issue, and I've never smoked a cigarette. I have no interest in any of that stuff, because I don't want to get involved. I'd rather be obsessed with my job and my career and my family and things like that, not the other things. But the reason that I'm asking, so me and my dad were out for lunch the other day, and this guy comes in, very, very talkative. Like, like one of those people that just like starts talking to you, and you're like, okay, I'm going to be in a conversation now because this person's talking to me, and I can't just be rude and look down, even if you're not feeling it. Like when we talk every single day.
I was going to say you should try it.
Anyways, he comes in and like starts a conversation. My dad's like, "How's your day?" He's like, "Oh, I just lost $1,000." I'm like, "What do you mean you lost I thought this guy was like carrying cash and lost or something." He's like, "Oh, like I was betting." And I'm like, "Oh, did you bet a lot?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, I bet a lot." He's like, "I never bet until my wife passed away." And then we're like, "Oh, well, that's really sad. Like, I'm sorry." He's like, "Yeah, that was 20 years ago. So I've been betting for 20 years. Anyways.
I think the guys at jiu-jitsu bet on the fights each week, but I haven't. Do they? I don't want to explore. I think they do, because they're always talking about it kind of, but I watch the fights, but I would never put money on it because I'm wrong 100% of the time.
You watch any fights, any sports, it's like the odds are popping up every 15 seconds on the screen. They're really enticing you to try to do it. Yeah. Anyways, where the story goes is when we're leaving and walking out, he stops, and he tells us he's 84 years old. He's like all there. He's quick. And he's like, "Oh, before you leave, if you're interested in buying a house privately," like just out of nowhere, this is the address. And I'm like, "Oh, that's weird." And then he keeps going. He's like, "Yeah, like I just have no interest in giving those greedy real estate agents any of my money." I'm like, "Man, I hear you, dude. All power to you. I hope you get it sold." And then I was thinking as I was walking out, I'm like, there's a very few people that comment on this channel or my main channel that really just do it to try to get a rise out of people. I could just see him going home later that day and commenting on my videos.
I saw my first FSBO come up in a long time.
Oh, interesting.
That big black and orange, red, whatever sign, like right in the front yard, like for sale by owner. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that in a long time.
There's one street that we turn on a lot, and there's this big ugly for sale sign with an arrow. Like, you can tell it's not professionally done. Dude, it's been there for a year and a half. When everything has sold around it.
Sorry to hear about your listing.
Yeah.
The market has turned around a little bit.
Well,
I'm starting to see some. So I always say I focus in my neighborhood, and I just pull up the app and I go, green or red? What are we today? Right. And a bunch of reds starting to pop up. And guess what? They're starting to pop up at exactly the values I thought they would sell at. So the sellers are the ones starting to come to the, yes, but they were never, they're selling for
what they're worth.
I think was proper market value in the first place, but the sellers had to wait 2 or 3 or 4 months to come around to the mindset that, hey, we're not going to get 1.7 and we're going to get 1.6. So we better put our price around 1.6.
Hey, real estate agents, I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Are you proud of your current website? If there's any hesitation in your answer, what I want you to do is go to realtyninja.com/Tom. They provide amazing websites for the real estate industry at an affordable cost. Steve has been using them for over a decade. realtyninja.com/Tom.
And so they're starting to move finally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
In my neighborhood where I am, which is like a freehold housing neighborhood, everything is selling multiple offers again.
Really?
Like, I mean, it's not that surprising because my neighborhood and many like mine have just always been in demand and never really saw crazy dips, or, you know what I mean? It's always busy because there's just not a lot of homes and good school districts and things like that. And then our condo market, man, is so weird. Like, I feel like really, and I say this when I meet with a lot of clients, I'm like, you know, if you meet someone else that knows more about the condo market than me, you should probably hire them. I honestly do. Like, I'm just obsessed with it. Like, I look at the numbers all the time. I truly believe, like, I really fundamentally understand what's going on. And then I get proven every single week that it's like, I have no control in all of this. We've put out some listings, man, that I think are like absolutely gorgeous, slam dunk in some of the best buildings in the city, priced accordingly. Nothing for a week, nothing. A few showings and then dead silence. And then I put out another one in a really old building, and I'll get to this later in the episode to go more in depth on it because I have a story about it. But I thought, like, this is going to take a long, long time, and we got 5 offers on it.
Tell the story now. Don't keep us waiting.
Okay. Well, okay. So you want to start with that then? All right.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a whole spiel on this. It's not just this property.
You just ruined it by saying, "Hey, I got multiple offers."
No, that didn't ruin anything. So, for a long time, there was kind of this idea that if somebody lived in an older condo building, and for the sake of this argument, let's say old means 25 years. Okay. If you live in a building over 25 years old, that they are tougher sells. They take longer. It's only a specific type of buyer. They're outdated. Maintenance fees are high. Like, it's not easy, right? And there's been this narrative out there that many people have said that condos have an expiry date as an investment. Maybe less for end users, but as an investment. And I agree with it to some extent for maybe these newer buildings that are just all rented out and not managed well. And like, yeah, maybe I probably wouldn't be putting my money there. So I was curious because I had a few cases recently where I listed condos that were not cheap, that were very old buildings, but were well maintained. And collectively for those 2 listings, I got 8 offers on them. 5 on one, 3 on the other. One was last night. Both sold over asking, one by 100,000, one by 200,000. And I'm straight up, I did not list excessively low to try to create bidding wars. Like, we looked at the numbers, we tried to figure out what was going on. Like, I really mean that. Like, we did not.
I love your adjective there, excessively low.
I don't even think we listed at prices based on the market that the sellers, if that was their only option, maybe would have considered taking that price. Mm-hmm. Like, we didn't set an offer date and try to annoy buyers. That wasn't the plan at all. It just, there was so much traction that it started building up. So then I started being curious about this. And, you know, I talk about this literally every podcast we do. I ask questions on our community tab. And I said, would you buy in a building over 25 years old, a condo building. Almost 70% of people said no. 30% of people, 70% said no. But then the comments, people were super passionate about saying like, I would only buy in one of those buildings. Or if it's well managed and it has, good reserve fund, why not? Right? Like the comments were super passionate about it, but the general thought process was not there. So I started thinking about it, and I think 70% of people are wrong. I absolutely think.
I usually think 70% of people are wrong. So congratulations, Tom, you're coming around.
But the biggest pushback typically with these older buildings, and you could say some of the cons are, sure, some of them don't have balconies based on when they were built. They're not aesthetically pleasing. Some of the hallways and lobbies, if they haven't been updated yet, look outdated, and perhaps you want to walk into something and feel like it's like, I get all that, right?
Yeah,
but you spend 95% of your time in the unit, which you can update if you'd like to, right? But the main pushback,
high rises too, right? Mostly you're talking about.
These are high rises, yeah. Okay. But the main pushback is older buildings have high maintenance fees. So I started actually looking into it, right? Mm-hmm. And some of these 25-year-old buildings, if you just look at cost per square foot for the maintenance fee, are identical maintenance fees to 10-year-old buildings.
You're just getting more square footage.
Well, they're higher maintenance fees because they're bigger units. So of course the maintenance fees are higher. That's why they're higher. But a lot of these older buildings will include hydro. They include water. So your maintenance fee literally pays for everything. Some of these buildings literally have internet and cable in the maintenance fees. These old ones on Bay Street.
Heat or everything.
There is nothing else. Where most condos on top of maintenance fees, you're paying hydroelectricity. And some of these brand new buildings, you're paying hydroelectricity and water. So heat pump rental.
In the city of Surrey, it's crazy to me that you guys do things like rent your furnaces and stuff. But in the city of Surrey, you have to watch the city utility bill, whether it's built into the strata fee or out.
Right.
Because everybody's like, that strata fee is so high. And then they realize they get another, after they move in, they get another city utility bill for $800 for the year. So it's like that $40 a month higher maintenance fee was actually lower than because it had that included, right? But Mark Haslam out of North Vancouver has the best quote. I believe it's his. I'm going to attribute it to him anyway. He says, low maintenance fees equals low maintenance. So enjoy your low maintenance fees, guys. It does absolutely nothing for your future of your investment.
I just thought it was interesting because I've seen a lot of people say that, you can only hold a condo for so long. And perhaps this is true, but I'll tell you my experience the last 2 years, and I've listed quite a few older buildings that are over 25 years old. I have sold pretty much all of them in under 2 weeks for prices that are very strong per square foot. Like they don't rival brand new buildings, but
isn't that a game though? Like an no, I'm interrupting. You don't have to apologize. Isn't that the game that people try and play though with stratified units or with attached units, where they try to buy in the years of where there's no like assessments, where there's no like roof being done. So I'm gonna try and live in here for this period of time, and I don't want any assessments. Like they think it's a hotel stay.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can try that. Like anything else, it's going to be tough to time that perfectly, right? You don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, maybe they're 4 months out on this, doing the budget and things like that, and knowing what's going to happen. But all that. Like when you buy it, that's in our status certificate, and you guys call it the Strata docs. Like all that information would be in there. So none of that would be a surprise when you purchase that condo from then until closing, at least, right?
Hopefully, yeah. Although the amount of folks that I'm hearing on the peripheral. So like, I'll give you an example. My parents live in a complex of which is adult oriented, let's call it, but not age restricted. Right.
Okay.
And a guy bought in there and he's walking around. He's like, yeah, moving in 2 months, talking to some neighbors. And turns out he's got 2 kids. He plans on putting a slide in the backyard and a jungle gym and all this stuff. And they're like, you can't do any of that. And he's like,
wait, hold on. He can't do that? You said it's not age restricted.
It's not, but there is bylaws against, you can't have ridiculous toys and kids' toys and stuff in your backyard, right? Because these are like communal backyards. These aren't like
okay. It's not a private backyard.
They're not, So anyway, but it's also old folks. It's also adult oriented. So you could have kids in there, but it's not going to be nice for them. There's rules against like riding your bikes on the common streets and all that sort of stuff.
Sounds
Right?
like
So
a bad place to live.
it sounds like a glorious place to live for me.
Yeah, for an old
But-
grouchy guy like you.
Yeah, you got all these geezers backing out of their garages. They're going to run your kid over. But anyway, didn't even know. He had no idea. He was like, "Oh yeah, they told me that in the inspection report that the hot water tank needs replaced. So who can I talk to in Strata about that?" And they're like, "That's your own inside your unit." That's
Right.
He had no idea. So the amount of people that are purchasing units that have no idea, they don't read the Strata documents. I don't know if they used an agent or if they went direct, but this guy had no idea what was going on in that Strata.
That's unfortunate. Well, that just all comes back to like hire someone that knows what the hell is going on and hire someone that's a local specialist if you're going to be making a purchasing or selling decision. It's I don't know. It's wild to me. Some of the decisions
How
that people
local
make.
is local specialists?
Well, I can
'Cause
tell you for
I think
okay.
the local specialist thing is the biggest scam.
I get what you're saying. You're saying like sometimes sellers perceive that they have to hire someone because they think that person has all the buyers, but you can't even double
that
end
guy
in your
has
market.
every bus bench in the neighborhood.
Okay.
I have to hire him. He knows everything.
Right. Now that's perception. That's just marketing. That's and frankly, you know what? Probably pretty good marketing. Because it obviously works, right?
It definitely
Whoever
works.
you're thinking about or I'm thinking about or people listening, you know an agent in your area that is plastered everywhere, but they do have all the for sale signs. So there's something behind it, right?
Oh,
Right.
it's definitely marketing. I just don't think it's necessarily good. I don't think it's a benefit to the seller necessarily, right? Like I should not be selling in
Well-
North Van. I should not be selling in North Van. I
Well-
won't sell in North Van. But the folks that think that there's a difference between this neighborhood in Surrey and that neighborhood in Surrey, and that an agent can't figure it out, is a big misnomer. It's
I would
silly.
say for me, it's like we pretty much, our team focuses on the 416 area code because I look at those numbers literally every single day and I grew up and I know all those neighborhoods. But we've had 2 cases recently where I met with potential sellers and they wanted to use our service to sell in Toronto and then use our service to buy in a market outside Toronto. And I just said to them, hey, you know, honestly, guys, our team will do that if you want. But if I were you, I wouldn't use us to buy out there. Like, I want to be transparent. I don't know the school districts. I don't know that area. Like, it's outside our trading area. I'm happy to recommend you somebody awesome out there. But it seems like there's this mindset, and maybe people can comment and let us know on this. Is like they just want to make it easier. Where I just work with the same person to sell this and do this, and that's just easier for me than talking to 2 different people. But like I think a lot of times, like we probably brought this up on the show before, on our market at least, on our MLS system, when a deal is done from an agent that's not a part of the Toronto Real Estate Board, it will say like non-board member. Like it won't tell you who, just someone from outside the market brought the buyer. And 5 out of 10 times when I see a sale price and I'm like, what happened there? I scroll down, I'm like,
Yeah, they're outside of their area.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, though. So it's like, how granular is that? Because
I think it's market
that's
specific.
So I think that's so silly to be like, oh, well, this particular person has, they know the area, and oh, by the way, they have buyers. Cool. Well, you shouldn't list with them then, right? Like, I don't know. I just think it's the area expert might be the biggest sham in real estate, because for sure I know Surrey.
Yeah.
But if you're buying in Clayton versus Willoughby, which is technically Langley, and they're right side by side, it's the same.
Right.
It's the same. It's a different city. You have to know the differences, but it's just not like, oh, I need that Clayton specialist, not that Willoughby specialist. That's such a crock. It's such a joke. Oh, he knows everybody in the neighborhood. Her signs are up everywhere. I guess. But I just don't. And it is only sellers that do that. Buyers, by the way, do not usually pick the area specialist, and that it should actually be the other way.
It should be the opposite way, shouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, if you're moving into a neighborhood, you want to pick the area specialist, and if you're moving out of a neighborhood, you want the area specialist to be able to bring you buyers, which you can't do in BC if they got your house listed.
But it can almost put you in a box too sometimes. Like I think about this when I started my career, I was doing rentals in downtown Toronto, and because of my age, I was 22 when I started. I didn't know anyone that could buy real estate. I was helping people rent properties, and they happened to be renting condos because that's what was up for rent, right? So my business built out where we had a huge market share in downtown Toronto condos. But I'd say condos these days are maybe 60% of my business. Like we're 40% houses. But I know for a fact, sometimes I'm missing out on opportunities to help people buy and sell houses because they perceive me as the condo guy. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, I don't want to not say that because I think I'm really damn good at it and we have a huge market share. But like, I do this as well.
Even more specific than that is like, oh, well, I'm going to go with this guy because he's had the last 2 listings in the building. And it's like, but okay. Like
it's so funny.
That is nothing. That is nothing.
I have one building that I've done 5 listings in, I don't know, in the last few years. All started because one of my clients happened to live there and I sold their place. And then another person in the building called me, hey, I saw you sold that one. Can you come? Like, yep. And then once you've done like 3 in the last few years and the next person calls you, it's like, hey, literally nobody sold more in this building than me in the last 3 years.
I am the building specialist.
But like
we have one of those.
Not on purpose though. It was never on purpose. Steve, did you know that there is a list of the top 100 real estate podcasts in Canada somewhere on the internet? Did you know this existed?
More than this. I thought we were the only real estate podcast.
I thought we were the only one too. But what was kind of funny is I was going through that list.
We're definitely the only one on Sunday.
Only one ever on Sunday. Yeah. I was going through that list. Must have forgot to invite us to the party.
We didn't make the list?
Didn't make the list. So I'm like, okay, I'm scrolling through. I'm like, okay, well, who are the other players in the podcast game? We got that other one that sometimes posts on Sunday. I forget what those guys are called. They weren't on the list.
They can't remember when they post.
Yeah, they're all over the place. The Looney Hour, which is like the biggest one of all of us, wasn't on the list. And I'm like, okay, something's not up here. So I'm scrolling.
Foch must have been on the list. Canadian Real Estate Podcast Investor.
I don't know. He must have been on. I don't know. But no, I would actually say he probably wasn't on the list because all the ones that actually get listenership weren't on the list. So anyways, I'm scrolling through and I'm just like, this is kind of funny. I'm going to send it to Steve. And I like get to number 60. It's your YouTube channel that you put your videos out on audio made the list.
Must be those 15,000 subscribers on my main channel.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, I just thought that was funny. I think AI may have had something to do with that list.
Are you suggesting that the writer of that article may not have researched 100 different Canadian real estate podcasts?
Man, there used to be this company, they're probably still out there, that did like lists of real estate agents in different markets across Canada.
Yeah. Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I know that one.
It's like you're going through like, I know they sold nothing. They might have a lot of Instagram followers, but like but dude, that's the thing that we're saying with everything else, like the local specialist with the bus bench, everything. Like perception is a massive thing for why people potentially make decisions. And we have to be better at potentially explaining the other sides of it. Before we go further here, can I get into this? Take a sip. I'll bring it to you in a second here. A few episodes ago, we had it on Eminem, Millennial Moron. I thought it was a great.
I missed that one.
I thought it was a great episode. I don't know. I just really enjoyed like the whole flow of that episode. I was really happy with. Actually, it was funny when we finished recording that one. I said to you, I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I was on today, but seemed to do well, and he's great.
He resonates with a lot of folks.
Of course, he resonates with a lot of folks, and that's what I wanted to ask you about, because most of the pushback we got, it's not really pushback.
Steve, why don't you resonate with a lot of folks?
Yes, yeah. But the big thing was like, investing in real estate is not the same as investing in the stock market. Steve, you are wrong. And investing in the stock market is better because those companies make things. And real estate sits there and does nothing, and people build wealth from it. Yes, the goal of both of them at the end is to sell for a profit or keep forever. And, I'm just curious, do you have a response? Because we couldn't respond to all those comments.
Where are your workers going to sleep? Are you going to put them in the factory? Put your workers in the factory. Let them sleep in there overnight.
If you are a real estate agent in Ontario, you know that it's your obligation to explain RICO's information guide to your clients. And now TRESAvideo.ca can help make that explanation easier and increase your trust and transparency all at the same time. Tom's team has been using the video that they got from TRESAvideo.ca for a few months now, and both his agents and clients love it. And now exclusively for the month of June, you can use code JUNE50 for $50 off your purchase. So go to TRESAvideo.ca and enter code JUNE50 for a limited time.
Yeah,
But
people
okay,
got to sleep inside, man. Don't tell me it doesn't
push back.
do nothing.
Let me push
Don't
back.
tell me it doesn't do nothing.
Let me push back.
Building houses does something. Building houses runs our economy.
But if I'm talking about investors of real estate, not buying your house to live in. Investors of real estate, if they disappeared, we all think, or we've said, hey, investors create supply, right? They, based on the current rules of how things are built in Toronto, they have created the supply.
Yeah.
If you removed all the investors, what happens?
You know my argument, man. Just make renting illegal.
So you have
Just
to
make
own
it
your house?
illegal. Yeah, you have to own your house. Renters should stop supporting landlords, and then we don't have this problem.
Do your renters tip you every month?
I don't think so. That would be fun.
No, right?
That would be fun. I don't know. I thought that argument was absolutely. I mean, I understand where they're coming from. Oh yeah, but
yeah.
Let's face it. There's, as we know, as we've discovered with this show, this is probably one of the biggest realizations I've ever had. Is the overwhelming majority of businesses fail. So you can dump all that money into all sorts of stuff and you can be failing very, very quickly. Something changes. They change from carriages to cars. They change from, whatever, horseshoes to tires. Businesses change. Everything changes. Businesses go out. If you run your entire economy off of one business in one sector, you can end up with Detroit very quickly, right? Like, sure. Like, yeah, you got to have business. I do believe you should invest in business. We should have very low business taxes rather than saying that we should all boycott the cheapest grocery store. We should maybe support the cheapest grocery store, right? Like, it's just stop this whole stupid mentality that there is no good. If I hear housing is an essential, like, right, like human right, again, it's not. It's not. That's communism. Your house being paid for by me is not your right. It's wrong, and we should stop that. So here's my big realization, though, because I typed it out in a comment on that episode.
Okay.
It's that this generation below me, so you grumpy little kids like Tom Storey and below, have not yet learned what we learned for Richard Robbins, the be do have theory.
Yeah, can you break that down?
Right? Be do have is simple. I should probably pull it up so I remember what the heck I said. But everybody thinks that they're going to buy a house and start making their mortgage payments if they're financially able to.
Okay.
If they're secure financially.
Okay.
So once I am secure financially, then I will buy a house. It's the wrong way of thinking. You have to buy the house. The house is the example. You can do this for. I used the example in the comments as diet, losing weight, right? So let's do it so you can lose weight, and then we'll just turn it around. I can either start working out after I feel good, and then I'll be healthy, or I can start working out today, and then that will lead me to be healthy in the future. Which one goes first? You don't wait for your body to be healthy in order to start working out. It doesn't work that way. You have to work out now, then you start eating right, and then eventually you'll be healthy. It's the same thing with a house. Well, I'll buy a house once I am financially stable. Then I'll start making mortgage payments. Then I'll be a homeowner. It doesn't work that way. Right?
But you're not saying if you're financially unstable to buy a house, though. I think that's where people are saying, well, Steve,
100% buy a house if you can, even if you're financially unstable. Yes.
Really?
Because what you do, yes, 100%.
Because you're thinking for most, let me just like talk this out. You're thinking for most Canadians, doing that is a better option than whatever else they're going to do, even if it's going to make their lives a little bit tough. Starting a business, they fail, renting goes to nothing eventually. You're saying this still puts you in a better position, even if it's a little bit of a risk at the beginning.
If you wait till you are financially stable, you will never own a home, because you'll never be financially stable, because it goes like this. You buy the house, you start making mortgage payments, and then eventually you will be financially stable. It's not the other way around. You don't wait for financial stability to start paying a mortgage, and then you'll own a house. But it goes the other way.
So I'm not disagreeing with be do have. I get what you're trying to say, but I know people are probably listening to this and they're a little bit confused. You're not saying like if somebody has 50 grand of credit card debt, you're not telling them to go buy a house, are you?
I mean, they probably can't, because their payments.
Well, of course, I know they can't, but I'm just saying, like, they should.
No, but what I'm saying is
figure that out first. Get them to a place that then they can get into the house. Like, if they're
millennial moron comments that we got were a lot of folks. I can tell. I know exactly which type of person this is. This is usually some sort of big idea thinking. Often, maybe in the tech space. Somebody who has these big ideas, big project managers, and they don't think housing should be an investment, right? And and that's fine. You can have that. But there's a whole lot of people that are spewing this idea that you will only buy real estate once you are financially set. And that's the problem with every generation when they're younger. And right now we're emphasizing that the younger generation should have what the older generation has, except they don't have those 30 years in the middle, right? So you have to be in a spot where you start making those payments in order to be mortgage free in the future. That's where you need to be. You can't wait until you have enough money to own the house cash. That's never going to happen.
Okay, if that's what you're trying to say, that all makes sense. But you can't buy a house unless you are quote unquote financially responsible, because you would have to be approved to buy that house that the bank has told you are financially responsible enough that we are willing to lend you the money.
But if you are waiting for it to make sense, your home purchase today, even if the prices drop 30%, blah, 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 your home purchase today won't make sense today. I guarantee you that.
It might make sense. You might just think it's expensive.
It will make a lot of sense in 30 years. So if you're waiting for it to make sense to make the purchase, it won't. Because it doesn't work that way. You have to
sense for who? Who's making up this sense? Because when I bought my property, it made total sense for me.
Well, that's because I think you have the perspective in the right manner.
Okay.
Right. You have, you realize that you need to, in order to get into a home of which you want to do, I guess if you don't want to do it, don't.
Sure.
But if you want to get into a home and you want to be asset rich one day in your retirement, you have to start on that action plan. That's not going to happen first. You're not going to be asset rich first. And then you're going to get richer as time goes on. Or you're going to maintain the same level of wealth, right? You have to take the first steps. And people are, oh, it doesn't make sense. Okay, cool. It doesn't make sense. So what's your option? Be a renter, invest in the S&P 500 for some reason because you think that's the best option. You'll rent it, or you're basically just investing in Apple, Meta, Amazon, right? All these companies that could turn off overnight, by the way, especially if Quebec has their way right now with all the social media stuff they're trying to do. But you could shut that stuff off overnight. It will, at some point, one or multiple of these companies are going to go the way of MySpace, right? They are 100% chance that either, well, Twitter's gone, but one of those companies, Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, at some point will be Detroit of the internet.
They'll be the Yahoo.
Right. So if you're going to invest in those companies, they'll be the Yahoo. That's exactly it.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is I don't think they have a strong grasp, and I have not made it any better by explaining it poorly here.
We should have had visuals for this conversation, I think.
Yeah, we do have, right? Yeah. So let's go back to the health thing.
You know what? Go type be do have into YouTube after you watch this episode and watch someone else. Yeah, watch Rich explain it. That will probably sum it up a lot better than Steve trying to get through that.
Yeah. It makes me angry.
What makes
take the first steps and stop thinking that you deserve the same thing as your 65-year-old parents. You don't deserve it. You haven't been on the earth long to deserve it.
Also makes me angry is that every 3 months to a T, it's like these posts are scheduled. Rate Hub comes out with some, I don't know, breakdown of how much income you need to buy in every market in Canada. And right now, you need $218,000 household income to buy a house in Toronto. Like these headlines are exactly what's getting people frustrated. And then they think, holy crap, I got to get there before I can think about buying a house. Like, no, you don't need anywhere near that income to actually get into the housing market.
I saw that one this week, and I actually thought that wasn't such a bad number.
You thought it was, I think it went down. It was like 230 the last time.
218. That's not bad. I know I have lots of clients with a $218,000 household income. Lots.
How old are they?
Under 40.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, they're not 22, but there's lots of couples that are, maybe they have one child or one on the way, or that kind of era. So let's say that's 30 to 40 years old right now.
Yeah.
Because nobody under 30 seems to be having kids. And they have great incomes. I actually have a client right now that is way overqualified, that's going, I'm not going to spend that much. By the way, a German, just like me. So
I think what you're saying is true, but you only know these people because they are your clients, because they were able to afford to buy property, right? That's why you know them and you understand what their income is. And I would say the same thing. A lot of our clients have very, very strong income. That's why they're talking to me, because they're buying property, right? Like that's all part of it, where, we help renters in Toronto. You guys don't even do that. So maybe you're just not having the conversation. Like, it's very clear that a lot of people there are nowhere close to this, nowhere close to that level of income. And when they are seeing these headlines, it's just discouraging them even more, right? And then they come on and watch our episode with Millennial Moron and go, yes, what he's saying makes sense. You don't need to own a home. And I'm not saying what he's saying was wrong either, right? Like, I think for some people, what he's saying makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Isn't that a downside of the press and speaking of failing business model, the mainstream press just trying to get clicks, and they're doing it by making people upset, because as we know on our channel, clicks get better. The step they go into that whole playing, they don't prove why it's a wrong thing. They just go hard into it and make people even more upset. And I do think a lot of people are, as you kind of mentioned, are upset these days, which is probably a good thing.
Dude, they're very, I found that out with one of my videos a few weeks ago. Oh my God, I was not expecting that type of response. It went crazy.
People angry at it.
Well, they're not necessarily angry at me. Well, there was a few interesting comments directly about me, but generally they're not angry with me. They're just angry about the whole situation. And the how am I going to put this? Okay. There's just so many people, and I understand where they're coming from, that are just so excited to see others fail.
Yeah.
Because they want them to fail. Let's get rates to 15% so everybody's screwed. That would make me feel really good.
Yeah.
There's so many people like that. And I'm not saying, I know you're going to say, figure it out, get your life together, stop thinking like that. I understand why they feel that way. But it's
okay. Why do they feel that way? I have my opinion.
I think they feel that way because they're not in a position that they can get in. They've watched house prices double in the last 10 years. They're pissed off. They're watching things that confirm their bias on YouTube or other media platforms of people saying it is bad. You should be mad about it. You've got to do something about it. And then they want everything else to fall so that things get back to what they think is supposed to be normal.
Because they are losers.
No, Steve, don't say that.
They're losers.
I don't think they're losers.
If you want someone else to fail, you are a loser. Simple.
Is wanting the system to fail making you a loser? Because that's everybody. I'm not saying one specific person they want to do bad.
You don't want the system to fail. Do you know how bad it would be if the system failed?
Do
you know how bad it would be if the system failed? Like, it's not good for you. And here's the thing. I've said this before. If you're on the bottom of the mountain, guess who's getting crushed by the system falling on top of you? It's not going to be the guys at the top.
Hey, Steve, do you ever say something and then immediately think, did I just say that out loud?
Yes, everything. I just said it right now.
This is like a little bit old now, but we got to bring it up. JT, I'm going to read this. Says real estate needs to be more affordable, but lowering home prices would put retirement plans at risk.
Justin Timberlake said that?
Justin Timberlake said it. Weird that he said that. Weird he's so concerned. It was one of those things where he probably said out loud, he's like, this is going to get clipped. This is a headline now. This is going to be everywhere. But is this not what we've been talking about? I've been asking so many guests about this. Regardless of a change in government, how do you tell 2/3 of the country you're going to bring down home prices and make it fair for the first-time home buyers that want to get into the market that feel like they're at the bottom of the mountain and they got no shot?
I don't know. I think he seems to be doing a very good job of telling young kids that they deserve everything. So I don't know. I mean, retirement plans at risk. Okay. I guess that means he's thinking that everyone should or is having their retirement within their home equity of their principal residence.
That's probably where that is coming from.
Which is probably only really a BC Lower Mainland and Toronto GTA thing and not anywhere else. All right. I mean, I don't know. Does it need to be more affordable? He does definitely not doing anything to make anything more affordable. So besides building 40 bazillion homes,
how
I don't know. I think it's a stupid statement from a stupid person. So
how come when the overnight rate was at 2.5-3% in previous times, how come home prices didn't go up in Calgary or didn't go up in Saskatchewan, but they're going up now at 5%?
For tenant, landlord, or homeowner insurance policies, go to squareone.ca/The Tom Storey Show. Use the link in the description. Save $20 when you start your free quote right now.
Well, everybody's flooding there now. Nobody wanted
the
to be
money
there.
from Ontario and BC is heading there, and that's what's pushing their prices up. And now they're putting regulations into place because housing affordability is becoming an issue. Like, we're just going through the same thing. We're just jumping around the country here. But the inflation too, you know, what Bank of Canada is now going to do moving forward. It's like, and you brought this up, how come the last time the overnight rate was at 3%, inflation was under control?
Yeah, so everybody thinks that if they bring down the rates, that inflation will just go insane again. But nobody's planning on bringing it back down to 0.25% again.
No.
Right. So if the theory is that we should have, if we're trying to bring rates down, they need to be, or inflation down, sorry, they need to be 2% above inflation, which is roughly where they are right now.
Sure. Slightly higher, but yeah.
So rate, well, month to month, maybe not, right? So it's within a quarter point here or there. So as inflation gets back down to 2%, there's no need to be above an overnight rate above 4 to 3.5%. But prices did go up. Prices were going up. They're just going up a little bit more gradually, right? When they were at, I mean, I think we should stick around that 4.5% 5-year fixed rate mortgage. That's where I think we should be. We're not there yet. So I don't know. But that gets back to, like, I was really kind of doom and gloomy a bit myself here, going like, okay, detached market's kind of screwed. And now I was talking to a good friend of ours. Yeah. I was talking to a good friend of ours who's putting together a string of 11 deals in 2 weeks. And he was like, dude, I haven't done anything all year.
Yeah, it's clumpy.
And so, yeah, I said you had
real
a very
estate's clumpy
year this month. Yeah. So I don't know. It's turning around. It's normalizing. But why can't I mean, there's no reason that inflation should come roaring back outside of my favorite complaint, which is overtaxation. But
I know that we have to put this podcast out weekly for it to grow. But it's almost to the point now that, like, us and everybody else, not enough changes on a weekly basis. It's like when we look at the markets and we have opinions, like, it probably feels like to them every week these guys are going back and forth. It's slow, it's fast, it's good, it's bad, whatever. Because that is what's happening this quickly. That's the market. That's what happens. But unless we're looking at it on a 4 to 5 month trend line for everything, it's like, I don't know.
That is the market, though. That's what a lot of folks don't like to acknowledge, is that the market does change
Pretty quickly, actually.
It can change very quickly. And for instance, a year and a half ago, almost now, I had clients where I was like, listen, everything is heading down. There's no signs of it turning around. If you want to move this year, you should probably sell as soon as possible. They sold. And then within 4 months, prices increased another 15% again. Right? So what does that prove? It just proves that everything changes always. And by the way, they're going back down. Well, they're not on the numbers. They're not even going back down yet. But, well, actually, in that particular area, they're probably hotter than ever.
We had...
it's a market. It changes.
We had a listing end of last year. It was in November that just wasn't getting much traction. We were getting bids that were way below what I believe the true market value was. But you can remember end of last year, right? Like, it was pretty quiet. Anyways, we put it back out this month. We sold it in 6 days and got a firm offer today, which was $200,000 higher than the offers we were getting that we didn't take, because I think they were below market value, but $200,000 higher than November of last year. Now, that's just one property. That's not saying the market's up to it. That's not what I'm saying. But it just shows that, like, it does seem that even though since that time, like, what's really changed since that time? Interest rates haven't. No. Fixed rate a little bit. Population. A little bit. Okay, but this buyer was around then too, and they didn't make it. They didn't do anything. They've been looking for a while.
I think that's where you're just going to have the sentiment change, right?
That's it.
Yeah. So I mean, sentiment's a lot of it. Not everybody's listening to the #1 Canadian real estate podcast of all time every week with us here. Like, some people are going out and doing their own stuff, right?
Wait, so they have lives and they actually do other things?
Can you believe it?
Oh my goodness. Hey,
I mean, I know, but
Realtor.ca is the red website. Okay, dude, you want to get to this?
Off on this.
Okay, so let's go. For it. So, okay, this is the way I explain this to clients. When you hire me, or you talk to any other real estate agent, they say they're going to put you on all these different sites. Here's the truth. I click a button on my MLS system. It uploads to Realtor.ca, which is the hub for Canadian real estate. For Canadian real estate, we have data sharing agreements. From that site, it allows it to go to every other site on the internet. Every app that you look at sold data, every company website, every realtor website. It's all because Realtor.ca and CREA has the data sharing agreement. So there's nothing special.
Cooperation, yeah.
Because of cooperation. Yeah, which is funny. We could do an hour on that. But okay, so I click a button and that happens. Nothing special about that. That's part of being a part of CREA. But companies that have created, let's argue here, a better user experience for the client in terms of searching properties, saving properties, things like that, have got a lot of people saving it on their phone. That's where they go to check out properties. And when they want to see a property through the app they're using, they go, I want to see this property, or I want to call the person on this property. Steve, I will take this over to you, and I want you to tell me your perspective why this is potentially not a good thing.
So I had one of the other platforms reach out this week, of which I've advertised on, and sure, it's another spot. It's a player. Let's call it a player in the industry. And for this particular website, they're like,
portals. They're portals. Let's call them that, right? They're real estate listing portals.
I mean, yeah, it's where some folks don't.
Let's just say the Canadian version of like Zillow or Redfin. We have several of those sites as well here.
To a bit, not a brokerage.
Some are brokerages in my market.
Yeah, they can be. There's all sorts of different business models. But Realtor.ca is where all the listings are, because it's owned by the agents through CREA. Therefore, all of the MLS listings are there. It's a better system than in the States. Realtor.com is owned by a newspaper, or Washington what was a newspaper at one point, and that's why Zillow's managed to take over. Except, I'll get to this, because Zillow's old CEO even said, or new CEO, even said the same thing. But so what happens is, I get this phone call, and it's, do you want to renew your subscription? And I was like, really wonder what I get for my money here. So I advertise my listings on there. They get promoted to however many people that is. But then for me as an agent to have a profile, it's basically a profile, is X amount of dollars per month, blah, 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 to be on their website. And I'm like, wait a minute, but my listing's already on your website. Yeah. But for them to show a picture of my stupid face on my listing, I have to pay for it.
I'd pay them not to show your photo. So
I chose to not pay them to not show my face. So you're welcome, everybody. It doesn't have to see my face. But so here's the next move. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on. So my thing expired, my whatever you call it, membership expired. So I go down and there's my listing. My name is written in the tiniest print along the bottom, and you can't click it, just like this. And then there's, would you like to see this house?
Somebody else's face.
Here's 4 other agents along the bottom. Book a private showing. None of this is me. Right. So now they have, if I pay them the ransom, then they'll put my face there and put a button where it says they can contact me. But if not, then you click a button and it goes to somebody else. This is just a lead generation platform.
Are you getting showings on any of your properties by any of those 4 agents whose faces were there? Okay.
Never. All right. So then if you click book a showing, it doesn't book through me. Only information on a property goes to me. The other one goes.
Okay, but information on a property actually goes for you. I'm actually surprised that even goes to you.
Yeah. So that, well, only if I pay them the ransom.
Oh, okay. Right.
So then what they say to me is they're like, well, we think that with the whole agency thing, buyers deserve choice. So we're going to let them pick these buyers agents or you, the direct listing agent, whichever one you want to do. By the way, they're charging those buyers agents a monthly fee to be there as well. Right. And then, so I actually go through the process, and I sent my I sent my showing request for my own listing to another agent to see how that process all kind of works. We've connected you with XYZ realtor and so, the area specialist, blah, all this BS. By the way, an area specialist I have never heard of. Right? Going back to area specialist bullshit.
It's funny because I know how these systems work, so it's just funny, but I'm sure a lot of people don't actually understand what.
Then they've got a mortgage broker below me and 4 more agents. So they're selling my listing, and you now cannot. And so this is where they came back to me and said, well, it's our belief that the buyer should have choice. So the buyer should be able to reach out to another agent or you. And I said, but then you take away the or me option if I don't pay you.
Right.
So
it's only a choice if you pay.
My listing to sell leads to other agents who are not qualified or maybe qualified or who just have the largest spending budget again. So let's get back to this. When Zillow changed over CEOs last time, the new CEO came out and said, we are not a disruptor in the industry. We are a leech. We are sucking off of what's already going on here. There's no need to go to. Now, here's the thing. They do have some of these sites have some better customer experience. Some of them do, 100%. But you are being promoted the listings of which the agents are paying the most for you to see, not necessarily the listing that makes sense for you. Right? And then when you think you're trying to get information on that property and figure it out, you're not even getting the listing agent, and that's not being represented correctly either. So these things are, I understand this sounds like a realtor squawking that somebody charges too much or whatever. I get that that's how this sounds. But what I'm saying is, I think that there's so much money wasted by agents who then have to charge more to try and get a deal together because they're trying to buy these leads. Like Zillow, what is some agents spend 30% of their marketing budget?
It's 40%. Well, Zillow's now taken just percentage of commission up to 40% if you're on a certain plan. It's not even just a monthly, it's just percentage of. Yeah.
But then I was talking, I think again, we got friends in high places because we're the #1 real estate podcast in Canada.
You keep saying it will become true.
And so I'm talking to folks, and then I actually got breakdown on numbers. Realtor.ca nationally is 44% of internet traffic.
for real estate listings.
Or real estate. 56% Pornhub. No, but for real estate traffic, it's 44%. And then the particular competitor that I was looking for was 10%.
It's not bad, actually.
But then I'm one of every agent in my 5,600 agents in my marketplace trying to vie for. So am I one 5,600th of 10% of the, like, what am I paying for here? So it's a leech on the system. So I think what you should do, if you're looking publicly, if you're not working with an agent and they're not going to set you up on the system that gives you all the information, and you want to do the research yourself, which you're totally inclined to do, you should search on realtor.ca, because it does not pick listings to promote to you
Based on who paid.
Based on who paid more.
Yeah.
And if you click on that and you want to talk to the listing agent to find out details, of which they will know, hopefully, then that's the spot to do it. Now, if you want to do other research once you find a property, great. You may want to go onto city websites. Surrey has something called cosmos.ca. There's all sorts of different resources out there.
Yeah.
The school boards and whatever to find the catchments or whatever. But I just think that these platforms they're not helpful outside of them trying to make money off of real estate agents. And that's all they're trying to do.
And you think because their real estate agents are paying for these platforms, it then means that they have to charge a higher commission for their services, or else the business model doesn't make sense because they're paying? Is that what you're trying to get at?
I just think it's another thing because where we are, I know you guys, you'll see like very structured or very common business models, right?
Sure.
Which are a lot higher than here for what you guys charge. I'm starting to see fees go up here.
Oh.
Yeah. So over the last 5-6 years, fees in BC have started to increase in percentage. And you figure it would be the other way around, because there's more agents, there should be more choice, we should bring price down. It's not the way it works. There's more agents, there's less deals per agent, there's more things the agent has to pay for. So more agents are starting to charge more money. And this is one of those systems. The other things that agents have to charge more money for is they just have the client has higher expectations of their listing.
Oh,
right?
People talk about commissions staying high, and I can understand that argument. The amount that is offered now for the same commission rate, if not lower commission rate than it used to be, just to get the property to the market. I'm just speaking about Toronto.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's just talk. I lost a listing recently. I don't usually talk about these things on the podcast, but and the feedback that I got, because I think they might actually watch this show. It was like, we did all of our staging, all of our marketing. Literally nobody had sold more condos than me in that area in the last 12 months. I'm like, how could I not be the person that gets chosen? The feedback I got was, well, Tom, this all looks good, and we trust that you do a great job. However, the other person that is the same rate is going to pay for our move, is going to pay for this, and is going to pay for this. And I was like, I didn't even know. Nobody's ever, you could have asked me for that first, but nobody's ever even asked me for that. That's never been an issue.
So they didn't want the fee down. They wanted
it wasn't a lower fee. They didn't take a lower fee. I guess you could argue, but then I put those services together and I'm like, okay, so just to be clear, go whatever way you want here. It's $1,500 potentially of added value. Like, I can sell your property for way more than that.
Yeah, you better ask them their list sale ratio.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but so that's something that I think things are being added. Commissions are staying arguably similar, but you're getting way more for them. For me to bring a property to the market, like I did a big sale last night, one of our biggest of the year. It cost me $7,000 to put that property on MLS. I took a risk, a calculated risk, knowing like I'm going all out on this. I want to impress the hell out of these people. We ended up getting 3 offers, and it worked out really well. But I've had times in my career where it doesn't work out, and I take a burn on it.
Yeah, I'm running the numbers, and I think we may have to increase if they want the level of, if the seller expects that level of marketing. Right. I mean, the dollars have to go in, right? It's fine. It's fine if they want those things and they see value in them, right? But
Steve,
where I get a little frustrated is like, are we putting the money into marketing the property or marketing the realtor? And that's always something I've struggled with. That's why I've never had a bus bench
I
to
have
date.
a $4 billion marketing plan for your property, except it's just marketing my face. Sign here, sign here, sign here. Let's stop talking. I'm sure people have better things to do with their day. Go enjoy your family, the outside. It's summertime, baby.
It's Sunday. All the real estate talk is finished for the day. You can
There's no more.
You can close your YouTube right now. There's no more real estate talk to be had today until Monday.
Go put your phone on Do Not Disturb or turn it off. Go outside, smell the air. Just enjoy the day. Hopefully it's not raining today. We'll see what happens. All right. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Steve, I feel like you had lots of comments on that episode, but is there anything you'd like to close it off with?
No.
No.
Have a great day.
Well,
I love
that's
you
all I
all.
got. All
Love
right.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.